How we all doing? Welcome back to my channel, Live from the End with Joey. We got a beautiful special guest. His name is Matthew. He's a very near and dear friend of mine. He's super dope. We'll get into all that at the end of the video. Lawofassumption backdoor, man. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the idea of time, man, and what you guys can do to stop focusing on time. We're going to offer some tools, some tips, tricks. You definitely going to want to pay attention and make sure you take some notes. So, Matthew, if you want to start, I'll let you start off, man. I love your content. I think your content's very wise. There's a lot of great information on there. And yeah, if you want to share any tools or any tips to start off with help reducing the levels of focusing on time, let's get into it.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So time is obviously one of the biggest problems that a lot of people have with manifesting, especially when it comes to specific people. They want that person now, and that makes sense. You know, we all want the love. We all want it now. When it comes to time, acknowledging the time, so sort of saying, I've been doing it for this long and it's not working. Why is it not working? Or I don't know, we've been broken up for X amount of time. The problem with time, especially when it comes to the techniques, is if you acknowledge that there is time between when you're doing a technique and when that person coming in, you are basically saying, I do not have this thing. Even if those words are not leaving your mouth, or if you're not thinking those words directly, your subconscious mind is going, why are they questioning time? If you're together, there is no reason to question why they're not there yet or how long it's taking to get them. So your subconscious mind is picking up on that and going, oh, well, our reality is that we don't have them. I will just push that out more because it reflects what you are and what you assume to be true. So obviously, if you're assuming that there's a time scale before you get your thing, or like that's in the middle, that will then reflect out. The thing that I personally use, and I think this, in my opinion, one of the sort of most effective ways to stop acknowledging time is just remembering that using your imagination, you can bring that thing now. If you want that person, or if you want that marriage, or anything, whatever it is that you desire, a job, money, whatever, you can skip the middle by enjoying that experience in the here and now internally, whether it's through affirmations, scripting, visualization, like the listening technique, whatever it is, you can bring that right here in your imagination. And then that takes out the concept of time. Now, I know obviously that's quite a simple sort of like trick. Really, it's not really a trick, it's just the law of assumption. It's manifesting, you bringing it to now so you can experience it now, and that is what reflects out. It is simple, and the reason it's simple is because manifesting and law of assumption is simple. To get your desire, you have to do very, very little, in some cases nothing at all. Even just having a thought about, I'm going, like, just thinking of something can bring it in like once. Like there's been a time when I thought about a kind of food that I haven't heard of in ages, like no one had mentioned it, and my mum went out and bought me, like just off like her own accord, just went out and bought me a chicken tikka slice, and I was just like, I literally had one thought about this and it was there. So manifesting is simple, and time is the only thing that gets in the way by acknowledging it. If you bring that forward, not only are you're cutting out time, but you're also manifesting properly. So it makes it, like, I don't want to say speed up, because quote unquote that obviously you don't speed it up because you already experienced it, but that is what speeds it up. Taking out time and bringing it forward to the now, that is what speeds it up, and that is what works.
That's very true. That's very true. You know, because a lot of times people don't realize that by you constantly asking questions, even if it's very subtle, even if you're asking other people questions like, oh, how long did it take you? Or if you're just flat out asking, oh, when is it going to happen? How long is it going to take? You know, a lot of times you guys don't understand that you're asking these questions and you may be curious, but you're still asking from a place of acknowledging time. And the more you keep acknowledging time involving something, it's very possible that you're going to manifest more time in relation to the subject matter. I love what you said there about dwelling in the imagination, because that's similar to what I teach my clients. Is the way to stop focusing on time is to get yourself there internally, you know, spiritually, energetically, whatever word you want to use here. You know, living from the end as the version of yourself, living life in the knowing, rather, that you are the version of yourself that has this desire now, that it's a done deal. It's here for you now. It's happening now. When you're placing your awareness on the thought, the idea that it's being experienced by you now, I don't like using this word, but it's impossible for you to be focusing on time. And eventually, by you saturating your mind, you will get yourself to that point where the knowing is so deeply rooted within you that it's as the equivalent to you knowing that you have your phone in your hand. You're not wondering when it's going to appear in your hand. You're not wondering when it's going to show up in your world. You know you have it. You know it's here for you now. And it's as simple as that. You know, when a little tool that I like to utilize is when you're in the moment and you're experiencing those thoughts of, oh, when is it going to happen? Maybe has that anxiousness, you know, sit with the feeling, with the intention that it's being healed up, and then dwell in your imagination and recite these types of words. It doesn't have to be these exact words, any variation will do. You can say to yourself something like, my desires are here for me now. I accept that they're here for me now. It is done, you know, or maybe you can even accept the fact, get yourself into that level of knowing. I find that this helps with people. Matthew, you could give me your thoughts on this too. But I've found that with my own life, my own journey, and the experience of my clients, that if you could get yourself into that level of acceptance that you may never really know when it's going to happen, you kind of disassociate with the idea of time. Because when you accept something, you make peace with it. You become neutral about it. When you're neutral about something, you don't really give a fuck about it. You know what I'm saying? So I find that is very helpful too, is to accept that you may never really know when it's going to happen. And that causes you to kind of detach from it, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And like you can make it into a game. It's like everything, like when you're enjoying yourself, you don't notice, obviously, like they say, like when your time flies and you're having fun. So if you make it like a, I don't know, just like a hide and seek game where your desire, any moment it could pop up, you're not worrying about the time because you're not like looking like, oh, well, it might take another 3 weeks. You could be like, well, that thing could pop up right now. And if you're not focusing on 3 weeks, when you're focusing from every moment that it could possibly pop up, as in the current moment, and you're dwelling in the end, you don't notice it because you're having fun. Time flies when you're having fun, and this is the best way to make time fly, is to just enjoy the process of living in the end. And the thing that I think people should do a lot more, and I don't think it's really touched on, it is touched on to an extent, but I don't think from this perspective, but we don't know how that happens, which means our imaginative scene isn't the best possible thing that could happen. Because if you're imagining yourself at a wedding, at the wedding with your specific person, you can only imagine based on what you know to be true now, as in the people in your life currently, the financial situation that you're in. Obviously, you could think of yourself as rich in that scene, and then that will obviously reflect outward. But most of the time, people don't ever see their scene as in the future, which is obviously the whole point. But the great thing about that means is if time is a problem for you, just remember that the longer it does take, obviously don't focus on the time, but remind yourself that it doesn't matter because it comes in the best possible way, which means the scene you imagined isn't the best possible thing that can happen to you. So you can enjoy the time that it takes, knowing that it's bringing in something better than you imagined. So if you love your imaginary scene, just know that it's going to be better than that, as long as you don't accept the time as a factor against you.
Exactly. That's very powerful. That's a very interesting, you should make a video on that, man. Like just diving deep into that, because that, you're right. I've heard so many explanations involving like time, how, but I haven't really heard it in that kind of way, at least not that I can recall. That's a very powerful way to look at it, especially the idea about having fun with it. Which, note, guys, you should always be having fun with this. This is your fucking life.
100%.
But yeah, you're never really going to know how or when it's going to happen. You may get little glimpses of maybe like specific times or dates, but ultimately your conscious mind's just not going to be able to know exactly when. Okay, because your conscious mind, guys, isn't tapped into infinite fucking potential all happening at once. It's very limited, you know? So if you're able to get yourself into this point of just knowing that it's done and happening now, not that it's going to happen. If you want to take that route, you can. I don't recommend it personally. I'm more so inviting the possibility of it happening now, you know, through saturating your mind and imagining different outcomes and whatnot. You know, allowing yourself to explore the possibilities of what you want. And that's definitely going to help you. It's 100% going to help you. And you can even train yourself to fixate on things happening now across the board, so that you can create the assumption that, okay, my manifestations happen right now, like literally in this moment, and just be open to receiving it. I've noticed in my own experience, and I'd love your thoughts on this too. In my own experience, there's been many times where I thought consciously that I was truly ready for something. And for me, I think this did play a factor and me receiving these different things, that I've consciously manifested, a lot of times I thought that I really, really thought that I was ready for it. But when I dug a little deep, subconsciously, I wasn't. And then I started beginning to shift myself subconsciously into, okay, letting my mind know that we're open and we're ready to receiving this. Okay. And when I started making those shifts internally on a subconscious level, that's when the manifestations really started to showing up, So I don't know if you've ever experienced that personally. I feel like a lot of people, they think they're ready for it, but deep down, they subconsciously know they're not. So I think that personally plays a factor, and I guess how fast things come in and how fast maybe they don't.
Yeah, 100%. I think that also plays a mild factor into why things do take the time that they come in, like you say, but also why sometimes those things don't stick around. And obviously this
Yeah,
is about the time, but I think it's very important to touch on this subject as well, because a lot of people, they spend, like, they live from the end, they live from the end, live from the end, and they affirm and stuff, but they don't actually ever, like, well, not all the time, obviously, but a lot of people don't ever actually dig up the root causes of why that thing is taking so long, like you say. And then 9 times out of 10, that means that when it does finally come in, if it has taken a long time, because it was such a big thing for them, they pedestalized it. They acknowledged that it wasn't coming in for so long, and they did all of these things. They basically just beat themselves up over it. When it comes in, they clung to it like it was the only thing that they could ever, like, this was their end all be all. And
yeah,
then that puts themselves back in this desperation standpoint, which pushes it back out again, because then their sort of self-concept is where self-concept comes into it, then just goes, well, I don't deserve this. And then their subconscious mind is like, well, we don't deserve this, so let's just put it back out. And then that's why, like, it takes so long for things to come in, because like you say, people aren't getting to the root causes of why it, like, of what they need to become in order to bring it in, because it's all well and good living from the end, but like you say, you need to embody the state of being the person that has that thing. And if they can't truly embody it internally, there's got to be a reason for why, because it's very easy to, like, switch your mood throughout the day by just doing something that makes you that. So why can't they do the same with this? And the reason being is they're not looking into what it is that embodies that state. If that, yeah,
right.
if that makes sense. And yeah, so I think the same reasons that it takes so long to come in is the same reasons that a lot of people lose the same thing, and then they have to re-get it again, and then lose it again, and then re-get it again. So I think it is very important, like what you just said.
That's so true, man. I resonate with that a lot. And I think it really does have to do with our core foundational limiting beliefs, whatever you want to call them, identify them as. Once we go within and really shift those beliefs, and we stick to it, we're staying committed, consistent, and persistent, it's gonna be a lot easier for us to just assume that this thing is happening now, or assume that this is, happening in the most loving way for you right now, among other things, of course. I think you're definitely right about that, man. Not a lot of people a lot of people within this community are very ego based. In my experience, they're very needy and desperate. And I get it, there's no judgment. Everybody's at their own level. But because of that, it's almost as if maybe it's because of the content they're consuming, but not a lot of people will teach to really dig deep and figure out what those kind of core foundational limiting beliefs are, so that they can really go within and truly shift them, you know? And maybe you could give your thoughts on this too. In my opinion, though, another reason why it may be taking a while, just speaking from personal experience, is that, and not a lot of people talk about this, but it could simply be because this inner source that's connected to everything, that is everything, is still moving, rearranging whatever needs to be rearranged to get you the experience. A lot of this manifestation, I've noticed, is very opportunistic. Not always, but a lot of it is in my journey. And I've found that things, when they do show up, they show up in a perfect way. They show up in a way that I least expected, and they always show up in a better way than I expected. Which, by the way, guys, this is a collab. I know you know that, but we also got a collab that's going to be on Matthew's channel as well. And we touched base a little bit on some of these ideologies, so you definitely going to want to be on the lookout for that. But yeah, dude, getting back on track, I think that's another reason why maybe it's taking a while. The limiting beliefs, the fears are definitely, they're playing a part. But I think that other aspect of it still stands true as well, is that, you know, this God within is still moving what needs to be moved, you know, right? Because whatever needs to happen is what's going to happen to get you the experience.
Yeah, 100%. I think sort of building on that, and again, is and this is more of like a philosophical sort of side of it, but as a society, we are so expectant of things immediately, you know, like you want to watch a TV show, you just pull up your phone and get Netflix. You want to basically anything. You want like dopamine release, then you go do something, and it all comes immediately. And I think as a society, we've become very expectant of things immediately. And then what doesn't help with this in the law of assumption and manifestation community is those YouTubers that are like, get your desire instantly, or like, and obviously instantly, depending on how they approach that instantly. If they're talking instantly as in experience it instantly, then that makes sense, because obviously bringing it into your imagination in the here and now, that's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that say, do this, and in the 3D, that person will show up at your door with flowers and a bouquet of like chocolates or something, or bouquet of flowers and chocolates, whatever. Then that leads this, like the people that see those videos and the people that are very like, unfortunately, the people that are very like receptive to that kind of stuff, and they then try those things, and when it doesn't work immediately, either because of their core beliefs or because of, like you say, just how things have to play out, they then start to go, this isn't working for me. And then their subconscious mind goes, this isn't working for us, we don't have it. So it's the expectation that it's going to happen immediately because other people have had it happen immediately, or because you've seen it on a video or anything like that, that is also going to help push it away from you. As soon as you let go of the idea that it can, or anything can happen immediately, but as soon as you let go of the expectation that it can happen immediately, that's when things tend to come in. As soon as you become indifferent and go, I don't care if I don't get that person, because in my mind, I know I've got that person. I experience that every night when I go to sleep. So if they don't show up for me, it really don't matter. And that indifference is then what goes, oh, we have this person, because we're not looking out there for them. Like, we're not like every single day we wake up checking our phone, no message, or going to sleep with no message or anything like that. We stop doing that because we don't care about it, because it's all up here. And the subconscious mind knows nothing else. It knows nothing else besides, we're married because I've experienced it here. We're going on dates. We're doing this, we're doing that. And then it's like, well, I better bring that shit in then. And then that's when it comes in. It's the indifference. When you have indifference, that is the best place to be when it comes to manifesting.
Definitely. I 100%, 110% agree with that, man. Literally, expectation, in my opinion, could be a leading cause. What's the quote out there? Expectation is the root of all evil, something like that. I think that it plays a big factor in this process. It's kind of like with the expectation of, okay, kind of like what we talked about in our collab on your channel, where when you have that expectation of, okay, I have to do this and then I'll receive this, you know, and then you go ahead and do these things and you haven't seen results either right away, or it's been, you know, a couple months. And that's at some point, your conscious mind's going to probably sway you into thinking thoughts like, okay, where is it? I've been doing this, not acknowledging it's because of that subtle expectation that you have deep within you, you know. And the same thing, like Matthew just said, like you just said with the, you know, the time related process, you know, time in relation to this process. What I'm going to suggest to you guys is, when you're going about your day, start practicing just doing little mind saturations, okay? Like if you're like watching TV or something, you know, just take a moment or two, you know, go within your mind. You don't have to visualize if you don't want to. It's completely up to you on what you want to do. But just go within and just imagine, like, you know, maybe your SP sitting right next to you watching that movie. You're just affirming that you guys are watching this incredible movie on Netflix as husband and wife or something, you know. You're taking a walk down the street, same thing, you know. I think there's a lot of different things that we could be doing to get ourselves into this place of kind of knowing that it's done, you know, knowing that it's here for us now. I've utilized a lot of different things in my own journey, from, you know, visualization, scripting, affirmations, acting as if, you know, a bunch of different things that are there for us to get us into this place. You know what I'm saying? I think it's very important that throughout the day we do these things to kind of get ourselves into that space.
Yeah, 100%. because it's like it takes no time. I mean, if you were to sit there and do like a 10-second scene and loop it, let's say just say 5 times, and you do that twice an hour, like that's not going to take any more than half an hour out of your day at the absolute most. And it's like taking half an hour out of your time to just sort of sit there and do, like, say, a little mind saturation. And I know obviously we are doing this to experience it internally, but let's face it, we all enjoy it when it comes into the 3D. We do it internally to experience it, but the internal experience is only half of it. It's then experiencing it in the 3D that sort of adds to that other piece of completion. We're all, no matter how much we know about the law of assumption, we all have the same like response to that kind of thing. But it's like, when you think about it, taking only half an hour out of your time a day to have the life that you want, it's nothing. But I don't think
Oh,
enough people are consistent enough as well. That's another thing that I find is like they worry about the time, but they're not using that time effectively. All they're doing is worrying about it instead of using the amount of time that they've got to become someone that when that person comes in or when that money comes in, they can do it. Like, because it's all well and good manifesting, like, let's say a job, and then you get that job. But if you are, let's say, highly unqualified to do so, you've just got lucky, obviously it all comes in a perfect world, you're just going to panic and stress and hate doing it. You know, like, it's like you need to also become the person that has that thing internally so that when it does come in, you can keep that thing. So use that time effectively. You don't acknowledge the time, but still just continue to live your life embodying that state and becoming the person that has that thing, and use it effectively instead of just sitting there whining about it not being there yet.
facts, facts. So that y'all better make sure you replay that part, man, because everything you just said, I'm in complete agreement with, and it's very factual. You know, especially when you said it doesn't take a lot of time, like 30 minutes out of your day to focus on what it is that you want deep down, you know, it's nothing. It's nothing. In fact, it should be an enjoyable experience. And as a bonus tip, I suggest you guys take some time and get very deeply clear about what you'd like to experience. And, you know, I shared a video from Matthew on my community tab, I believe it was yesterday, about, you know, are you manifesting? I think the video was are you manifesting from what you actually want?
Yeah.
That's very important, guys. You guys got to make sure that you're manifesting from what you actually want, you know, because when you get clear, you know, like you think about those bodybuilders and whatnot that have like one-track minds, right? You know, that, yeah, they take a lot of forced action, but they know exactly what they want. They have tunnel vision. They know exactly what they want, and they're willing to go all out with it. And that's the type of clarity that I always suggest people have. That like manifesting a text, for example, in my opinion, that's not really deep clarity. That's not deep clarity. You know, that's not, because that's not what you want at the end of your days. You know, you want to get clear. What does your life look like? Not to view it in a future sense, but like just conceptualize maybe what does it feel like being married to this person 10, 20, 30 years down the line? Being next to this person, growing old, where you're sitting in the rocking chairs together, right? You're at your grandchildren's weddings, whatever the case may be. Like, conceptualize what that would be to you, what that would mean to you, how would it feel? You know what I'm saying? I suggest that you take some time and start there, before just hopping into this and just aggressively affirming and hammering things in that have to do with like getting like a text message or ongoing communication. Because if you get clear about what you deeply want, you begin to understand that when you dwell from that end, everything that you know, like the communication is going to happen regardless, man. You know, and that's really what I'm about is getting deeply clear. It's going to make it easier for you to focus on what you want and reduce levels of focusing on time, because you know exactly what you want. You know, so when you're in those moments of focusing on time, it's going to be easier to bring yourself back. That's just been my experience personally.
Yeah, no, great point. Perfect.
All right. So, all right, guys, listen, it was a pleasure to be able to talk to you today. Matthew, it was a pleasure to have you on him, man. I was definitely looking forward to this, dude. I think this is a great video. If you guys want to go ahead and check out Matthew, all his info is going to be posted down below. But if you want to go ahead and, you know, let people know what you're about, go for it.
Yeah, so I've got my own channel. Obviously, we've got a video over there. I have an Instagram and TikTok. I'm not going to list their names because they're stupid, because I've got dots and numbers and stuff because I'm an idiot. So I'm just going to send it all over to Joey, and you can put it in the description. I'm trying to be more consistent on Instagram and TikTok, but I've just a busy guy with kids and stuff. So I'll see what I can do. But my YouTube channel is where like my content goes mostly. But yeah, check me out if you want to, by all means. And it was a pleasure being here. I love doing these videos. And I mean, hopefully, like, people enjoy them. We can do some more in the future, because it would be, honestly, it'd be great to.
Absolutely, dude. I 100% agree. I'm glad that like I said, when we first approached each other on Instagram, I've been manifesting doing a collab with someone on YouTube for actually the last couple of years, man. And I'm honored to have been able to do it with you, because you're super insightful, you're genuine, and you know what you're talking about.
I'm back at you, buddy. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, guys, listen, you have a beautiful rest of the day. Stay safe, stay loved. And remember, as always, you can manifest anything. All right, you got this.
Boy.